Canadá.
Sí.
Un saludo especial para la gente hermosa de Canadá.
Muchas gracias.
Desde Cali, Colombia. Allá está haciendo frío, aquí no. A toda la gente beautiful de Canadá. You people, I love you forever. And you from Colombia. Hey, bye bye.
And the beat is in the air. Colombia, coming up tonight. Rhythm is so strong, yeah, and the lights are shining bright. Colombia, come see my love tonight. It's a perfect night for dancing. The ocean breeze is saying, Colombia, that's the light.
Empanadas, damas y caballeros, ¿cómo estás? I'm here in the small town of San Gil in Santander, Colombia, and I just had to walk up the street a little bit because there's a bunch of loud music playing down that way, so I don't want to get copyright strikes. But then I walked up this way and there's more loud music, so now I have to kind of just wander around wherever there's not loud music. Now, if you're wondering why I'm wearing this shirt and you don't know what it is the Colombian national football, as they call it down here, or soccer in Canada and the US, jersey. And at 6 p.m. Colombia is playing Brazil on the coast of Colombia in just 2.5 more hours. And it's going to be very festive all around Colombia this evening at about 6 p.m. local time. So it'll be interesting to see how that goes. I heard that Colombia is doing all right. Let the motorcycle go by. So anyway, that's the reason I'm wearing the soccer jersey. I'm hoping to go to the local mall where I'm told that there might be a big screen TV to watch the game. Anyhow, the main reason of this video is to inform you of how a year ago I had problems getting into Colombia. In fact, I was a little concerned at one point that they were not even going to let me in at all, but everything worked out in the end. But I want to tell you about the problems that I had, and I'm just going to give you a little 360 view here so you can see how hilly it is. It's like a mini San Francisco here, as there are many towns in Colombia. But anyhow, what ended up happening was I flew with Avianca Airlines, which is a Colombian airline, the biggest Colombian airline, and I flew my usual route from Vancouver to Mexico City, and then Mexico City to Bogota. And about, I don't know, maybe 30 minutes before I was to board the flight to Bogota in Mexico City, I heard my name called from the staff to come to the desk. So I did, wherein they informed me that they were not going to be able to let me on the flight unless I was to somehow, in the next 15 or so minutes, book a flight that was seeing me leave within 3 months of arrival. Whereas my ticket that I had, which I've done before, was for 4.5 months. As I'm doing right now. And for some reason, this time, or that time a year ago, suddenly the rules changed and it was a problem. Now, I often I've never been able to hook up to Wi-Fi in the Mexico City airport, so I knew right off the bat that was going to be a problem. Buenas. And so basically, I wasn't expecting that at all. I thought maybe they're going to change my seat or something simple like that, but no. They were telling me that they were going to refuse me boarding the flight And of course my large suitcase would have already been on the plane. Maybe they could have got it off, I don't know, but that ended up being another problem. I'll try to remember to tell you about after this. So what ended up happening was I was trying to stay calm because I knew that getting upset wasn't going to help things. And they did speak English, so I knew exactly what was going on. And so I thought, okay, what am I going to do now? There's not much possibility I'm going to be able to do the switch in 15 minutes because I couldn't even, as I mentioned, get on the Wi-Fi. So I'd kind of resigned myself to thinking, okay, well, I'm probably going to have several hours to figure it out because I'll have to get on the next flight and I'm going to have to somehow book another flight, and it's probably going to cost me money for changing the flight and all that. So I wasn't thrilled about it all, obviously. But then I thought, I can't remember what it was that I thought of, but I went back to the counter and I tried to calmly argue another point. And I think what I did is I actually took out my passport and I showed them the stamps from my previous trip, which was for, I think that was the one where I actually ended up staying for close to 6 months. But I did it all legally. I got the 3-month extension, so that was all good. And I'm gonna hang around here for a bit because it's probably gonna get noisier the lower I go down there. So next thing I know, she's on the phone to somebody, and I could tell they're speaking in Spanish, something to do with me. And a couple minutes later, some guy comes walking up to the computer or the desk, and he starts typing away for probably 3, 4, or 5 minutes. And I was told to way off to the side. And then all of a sudden, after the 5 minutes was up, she tells me, you can board. And so I think I was the last person that got on the flight. And I don't know exactly even what happened. I just said muchas gracias and thanked them very much, and didn't want to complain anymore and be grateful for what just happened. And so I got on the flight and I came to Bogota, El Dorado International Airport. And then what do you know? I had the same problem at immigration. I had a funny feeling that was going to happen, but I was hoping not, but it did. She goes, you need to have a flight that's within the same spiel within 3 months, showing you're departing somewhere. And she was at first making it seem like I wasn't going to be allowed entry. And so I kind of went back to the same argument about how I've been to Colombia many times and how I've done more than 3 months several times, and how this was a brand new rule that I knew nothing about. And fortunately, she finally relented and said, okay, I'm going to give you 2 months. So that was fine. That meant instead of after 3 months of me having to get a 3-month extension, I'd have to do after 2 months, and it's all going to work out just fine. So I got in, but it was getting a little sticky there for a while. It could have not gone my way, let's put it that way. I was really amazed that I got on that flight from Mexico City. And so what I'd recommend that you do is if you don't know how long you're going to stay in Colombia and you got kind of like a one-way ticket in, they're going to want you to show that you have a ticket leaving before 3 months. It seems to be a new policy. And I don't know if it's Avianca in particular, being a Colombian airline, that is enforcing that more. But what I did was, and I'd heard about this before, but I've never done it. There's sites where you can go, and I'll list 1 or 2 of them below, where you can book a flight or the appearance of a flight for somewhere around between $15 and $30 Canadian, and that shows your itinerary saying you're leaving, but the ticket will be automatically canceled. And so you're basically paying this $20 or so fee for this company to make it appear as though you're leaving the country, and everybody's happy. That's all immigration wants to see. And so I did that this time, and I don't know if I even needed it, quite frankly, but what I did was, before I left, I booked a flight with this company to Panama and then onward to Quito, Ecuador. And I think it ended up costing me $30. And the reason why is because a lot of these tickets will expire within 24 hours to 72 hours. Depends which company you're using. And so it costs more to make it last for 7 days, and I didn't want to take any chances whatsoever because I had a long flight from the time I left Victoria to the time I got to Bogota was 32 hours, and I didn't want to mess around with trying to do these kinds of things in an airport. Plus I wanted to be able to print it out, so that's what I did. I booked a seven day one that ended up costing me, I think it was $32. Getting close to the main road here, so I think I should turn around so to get to the main highway through San Gil to Bucaramanga. So I highly advise that you do something like that if you don't already have an outbound ticket showing that you're going to be leaving Colombia. So another thing that I did was I made sure when I was in Mexico City, tune back in a moment. Well, it's not going to be totally quiet down here, but it's about as good as I can do. I'm at the entrance to the main park, which is really nice here in San Gil. And I just noticed they've taken out all the park benches, which is kind of odd, but they do seem to get broken pretty easily and quickly. So anyway, I'm going to hang around here, finish my story. So now, where was I? I think that I was saying that just to be on the cautious side, I went to the ticket counter before I was boarding my flight to Bogota. Oh, and I had a couple funny things happen this trip too. I'll go back in a second. But I wanted to make a point of telling them to put my Panama to Quito, Ecuador flight in their system if they were able to, and they said they were, just to be sure that I didn't go through the same problem at the last moment with being denied boarding. So anyway, they put that in there. And then, wouldn't you know it, it's time to board. I'm kind of about in the midst of all the big crowd, and it's my turn. I hand him my ticket, and I can see the computer screen. He does it on his little scanner. 2 red bars come up. Red's never good, right? It's always green you want, meaning okay, go, proceed. But no, I got 2 red bars, and I've been dealing with this guy since Vancouver, so he kind of remembered me, and we kind of chuckled because I had a little problem in Vancouver too when I first showed him my passport, and he's typing away, and it's taken way longer than it took for everybody else to get their tickets, and I'm just staying cool, but thinking in the back of my mind, oh no, here we go again, something's up. Anyway, when I was in Vancouver, a lady came and assisted him. Maybe he was new, I don't know what that was part of the problem. He's pretty young, but she was there for a moment and then got my tags for my luggage, so I knew everything was good at that point. And he said, yeah, no problems. And then I asked the woman, I said, what's going on there? And she just said something about it's their system. So anyway, whatever it was. So fast forwarding again to Mexico City, I'm boarding, get the red bars. And I said, again? With a smile. And he smiled too, from under his mask, I could tell. But anyway, I think somebody else again came to see what was going on, and it didn't take long before he handed me back my ticket and said proceed. But I don't know what was going on, because I don't think that happened to anybody else, because I was standing there again for a minute, whereas everybody else was scan, go. So anyway, the main thing to learn from this video is to have a ongoing ticket before 3 months is up, or have a I don't know if I should call it a fake ticket, but we'll go with that, a ticket that shows that you're leaving within 3 months, or you could be denied entry into Colombia. And I was looking into that via YouTube videos, and apparently some people have been getting denied because of that. And the other really important thing I want to mention to you is, if you're going to Colombia, you have to fill out what's called the check MIG form. MIG, I presume, is short for migration, migración. So you can find that by just typing in the search check MIG Colombia form, and it's going to be the top one that comes up. And I'm going to do a snip, and I'm going to put it in the screen right about now, so you can see exactly what it looks like and make sure you find the right one. And you want to make sure you find the right one, because there are others that use similar words, and they're actually agencies who are wanting you to pay a small fee for them to do this form, which is actually pretty quick and easy to fill out. So if you want to do that, that's your business, but it's certainly not necessary. And I just want you to know that you do not have to use another company to fill this out for you. You can do it all yourself, like I said, in 5 minutes. It's all done. It came within 10 minutes, the form, so it was all done pretty quickly and easy. And you want to do it within the range of 72 hours or less of when you're going to actually arrive in the airport, whichever one it is you're going to land in Colombia. So that's really important. Now, the other thing that threw me for a little bit of a loop was that, from the best that I could understand, that was all I had to do, and make sure that I had my flight leaving before 3 months was up. So I'm on the plane, and I noticed that the flight attendant is handing out the form I thought I'd seen many times in the past, which is a form that you write down everything. And I see only a few people are taking the form from her. So when she got to my row, I asked, "What's this for?" And she just said for entering the country. And so I thought, better safe than sorry, and I took it from her. I filled it all out, but I don't think they actually needed it at immigration. I think they only really cared about my passport. And what else did I hand her? I saw a lot of people just handing the people at the booth in the airport in Bogota just their passport and their flight tickets, and that seemed to be it. So I don't think it was necessary, but always err on the side of caution and fill these things out. At least you have it ready for if you need them. So on this occasion, no problems. It was just like the old days, and she just asked me a couple questions. What are you here for? And I just said turismo, and I mentioned that I'm going to be just going to national parks, taking photos in the mountains and stuff, and it was really quick and easy. So nice and smooth this time. Do what you can to make the process easy, and things should go smoothly for you. Well, dang, I should have done the video down here, down by the river. It's a lot quieter and more peaceful. You can see some guys hiking up the stairs there, bringing the kayaks. This is where they do white water rafting on Rio Fonce that runs through San Gil. But the one thing I wanted to throw in there that I just remembered was that I think that the companies are called Best Onward Ticket or Flight. I will clarify on the video. And then there's just Onward Flights or Tickets, whichever it is, .com. And I was talking to my American friend about this yesterday, and little did I know he's been doing that every time he does come into the country. Whereas I just learned about this whole onward flight thing within the last year after I had the problems getting in. And so he told me that the one that starts with best, he says they're located in, I think it is Singapore, Indonesia. And he cautioned me about using that one, saying that they are doing their processing of people's requests for flights over in Singapore, and that if you don't time it right and it's their nighttime when they're not open, there can be like a 6-hour delay until you get your we'll call it a fake ticket. However, I'm pretty sure I used the one that starts with best, and I got mine within 10 minutes. So I don't know if I just lucked out with that, or if maybe they've expanded their employees and they have people working overnight so they can do it 24/7. Whatever the case, he did caution me about that. And if it was best onward flight or tickets, I will confirm that. But he said that he uses the one that just starts with onward ticket or flight. Now, I should have figured this out so you don't get confused by what I'm saying right now before I came down here. But anyway, I will clarify in some subtitles for you. And just for clarification, he said that the company that does not start with best is located in the US, and so you generally are going to get your fake ticket, fake itinerary within minutes of doing it, if you're in Canada or the US, etc. that is. I think that's about going to wrap things up. I'll just end with mentioning that if you come to Colombia and you've done your 3 months, which is usually what you get a 3-month stamp in your passport when you first arrive. And then you can do one of two things if you want to stay longer. You can leave the country. Usually people go to Ecuador, and you can go across the border and back in the same day, or you can stay in Ecuador for a little holiday there. But if it's still the same, which I think it is, you come back, you get 1 month, and then you'd have to go out again, and you come back and get another month, and so on, to get your full 6 months. You can stay in Colombia for 6 months in the calendar year, meaning from January 1st to December 31st. And what I've been doing the last few years is I'm applying online for a 3-month extension, and that's going to save you time, unless you want to go to Ecuador, of course, which would be a nice trip as well. But if you want to stay in Colombia, then you can do this online. And it is, in all honesty, it's a little bit confusing, but I'll try to find a link to the site that I've been using, which has helped quite a bit. I think that it's around, don't quote me, about 65 Canadian dollars for the 3-month extension. But if you think about the bus fees and the bus fees to cross the border, stay in a hotel, etc., and getting to the borders, quite a distance from Bogota, Medellin, and Cali. It's even from Cali, it's about a 12-hour bus ride, and I think the highway's even still closed down due to a huge landslide from a year ago. But anyway, I much prefer just staying in Colombia. Once you fill out the form correctly, you're gonna find out within that day whether it's accepted or not. The great thing is if you do it wrong, you can reapply as many times as you want. You're not paying up front. You pay after it's been accepted and approved. That's when you are told how to pay. So don't worry about, try to get it right the first time, obviously, but if you don't, you mess it up, which I did, which was mainly to do with the sizing of the photos, not the information I filled out, but the sizing of the photos. That's the tricky part. But yeah, just keep doing it over. And literally, after they tell me, an hour or two later that it wasn't accepted because of the proper or the improper sizing, I just do it again literally right away after I get the notice. And if you do it right, no problem. You're gonna probably know within a couple hours if it was approved or at least within a day or two at the very most. And then, like I said, you just do the payment, which can be tricky too. I've had problems with that. I literally 2 times I had to go and find out where the immigration office was in Cali, and because they just weren't accepting my card. I only have 1 credit card I bring with me and 2 debit cards, and they wouldn't take the debit cards or the credit cards. So I had to go into the immigration office, and fortunately the people I dealt with were really nice, and I brought in cash and I asked them if they would use their credit card, believe it or not, to pay for it, and I'd give them the cash. And the last time I did that was probably 3 years ago, and I voluntarily offered a few extra pesos, said, here, this is so you can buy some ice cream as a woman. So I offered to do that, and yeah, it was no problem. They don't have to do that, obviously, but the people I dealt with were really nice both times, and they did it, and it all worked out in the end, as things usually do in Colombia. Sometimes there's some snags, but things will usually work out in the end. So I guess I'll end it there. Hopefully I gave you some good tips so you don't have any problems getting into Colombia. So with that said, thanks for watching, and remember, there's no you in Colombia, but hopefully you can come visit this beautiful country someday. Hasta las tacos. Ciao.